Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video I'm going to show you how to clean up this Holland anvil swedge block for proper smithing use. So and hopefully by the end of this video we'll even get to do a little bit of smithing in this as well. So some of the first steps to go over, what do we need to address when it comes to actually cleaning up a swedge block? The first things that we need to address in cleaning up a swedge block, or that I like to address anyhow, is all of the outside profiles. Now that makes up a good portion of the work on a block. So it's best to kind of start with the hard stuff first and move on to the little bit more easy stuff. Now you may think of, doing the depressions as a lot harder work. They balance. A lot of the outside work needs to get done first. So especially if you're planning on using it. Now, if you got a job quickly that you need to get out the door, work on whatever swedge you need to work on at the time if you don't feel like doing the whole entire block. So I bought this swedge block from Holland Anvil, and I'm also giving 12 of them away this year, all of 2021. So be sure to join us at one of our Friday night live streams that we do from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There'll be a link for that in the description down below. Be sure to join us if you want to try to get entered to win one of these bad boys. If not, the info to get with Greg over at Holland Anvil will be down in the description below as well. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into actually how to dress these up. So to focus on the outside first, I'm going to show you some helpful tools that we can use. Let's slide this out of the way. One of the very first helpful tools that we can use, if you have it in your arsenal, is one of these electric powered die grinders. Now this could be pneumatic powered as well, or electric powered. Anyways, it's really nice to have one of these long shaft die grinders to be able to work the side depressions with, especially if you have something like sanding drums. Now these are meant to go in a drill. They do make large. They do make them that they do go in this as well. That will actually work in here, and that's worth taking a look at. But yeah, so some drum sanding wheels. But the primary use that I use a die grinder for is for these burr bits, these carbide burr bits. Now these burr bits, they come in all sizes, all lengths of shanks, everything, diameters, different flute configurations. You can choose what would work best for your own particular application. Generally, a single flute is going to be fine. A single flute cut is going to be just fine. So yeah, I usually use the die grinder for that. Now that's going to hog off a lot of material very quickly. So be careful. This is a soft block. It's a, how do you want to call it? A ductile cast iron block. So it's not exactly like it's, high carbon tool steel or anything. So it's not going to take a lot of force to remove a lot of material. So I like using a die grinder specifically for the outside radiuses. Now I'm not going to do that in this video because I understand some people don't have die grinders. So let's move right along, shall we? The other thing that you might want to pick up is a air-powered 90-degree die grinder. That can be very handy, especially when it comes to this sanding disc pad on here. You will be able to clean up. You'll be able to clean up these smaller depressions a lot easier than if you have a large angle grinder. That's to get way down in the actual depressions to clear out some of that casting grain and to smooth that out. Now I will probably be using this. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight. A lot of these tools you can all pick up at Harbor Freight or any cheap box store brand thing. They don't have to be a Mac tool or anything like that, but these are pretty common. You can find these at garage sales. Tons of guys' garages. Guys and gals garages have these in them. So I will be using that today. And finally, last but not least, we will just go ahead and bring in the old trusty standby, an angle grinder. It doesn't have to be a fancy one, doesn't have to be a variable speed one like this. Variable speed is nice, but you will also have to pick up yourself some flat discs. Now I suggest that you get a range, but if you can't get a range, go for a good medium, 60 grit flat disc, if you will. So that's that would be my suggestions. I'm trying to hurry up through this so we can actually get to actually grinding the block. So there you go. So that's what's going to be required. Again, the additional tools, things that you may want to pick up is a straight die grinder if you don't have one already. Some carbide burrs are really handy for doing this type of work. You know, it expedites the process. And then, of course, these drum kits, these little drum sanding kits type things where you put a little drum roll on there to get in to all of these like depressions like that, to hone them and clean them out to get a nice smooth finish on them. All right, so I'll move that out of the way and we will get to grinding on this. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be grinding it with the flap disc on the angle grinder, and then when we move on to the depressions, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll use the smaller grinding disc here like you see it. Okay everyone, so here we are. What we have done here is we've went ahead and radiused all of these edges off and have created between an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch radius. So say, let's just call it at about a 3/16 inch radius that we've created on all of this around here, or about 5 millimeter radius. Now up here on the bowl depression itself, I have definitely went for a solid 1/4 inch or 6 mil radius, you know, for around the bowl. As you can see, I did the majority of everything I needed to do on this block with just the good old-fashioned 4.5 inch angle grinder there. So again, you don't need a bunch of specialized tooling. Of course, the specialized tooling helps out with projects like this. You know, certainly helps out with projects like this. So yeah, so I went around all the edges and basically smoothed off all the edges. Now, this is where I want to kind of point out, if you guys can see down in here, see how it's still got a texture and it's still kind of rough in here? This is a soft ductile iron, okay? This is meant to be tough, but it's still malleable. So that means it's not like cast iron, it's not brittle. So you can hammer in this, and as you hammer and you work hot material in this over time, what's going to happen is this surface is only going to improve and get better and better and better with age, with, you know, your hammer blows on it. In fact, you have to watch ball peening stuff in here because the ball peen dents. You can leave dents in this block really super easy, so keep that in mind. Now, I used an angle grinder for this. What if you don't have an angle grinder? Well, you can just use a file. This is fairly soft material, so it's really not that hard to use a file on it. I, however, am on a time crunch. I'm not going to use a file when I know I have a 4.5 inch angle grinder available to me. But so we've worked through all the edges. Get this turned up here. The only thing I did not do in this video is I didn't really clean up these troughs that much. One, because they're pretty good the way they are, and two, with as much as I use them, this here will wear down real quick and just kind of soften up just after a few projects. So I'm not too worried about cleaning those up, and it saves a little bit of time on the video. Other side, I went ahead and cleaned up all around the edges there, but I did not do anything on the inside of these depressions. Mainly just to save time for this video, because I don't actually use these size. I don't use these sizes that much. I mainly use the larger sizes and the outside perimeter of a swedge block in my own work. So yeah, so as you can see, again, got this all nice and cleaned up. Looks good, nice and smooth. again, between an 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch radius, so about 3/16 or 5 mil is really what you're looking for to radius these things off. So, all right, without further ado, let's go and forge a few things in this swedge block here. Okie doke, everyone. So there you have it. You can see how useful a swedge block can be, especially once you've cleaned up all the edges. Something that I really want to point out to you right now is it would not have been possible to forge this large of a blank, or how smooth that you can see this backside is, without getting galling on it if you left this sharp. So really easing these edges off is really imperative if you want to do some fairly large work in a smaller depression like this. So that's what I did with this. That's why it's been radiused off so well, so heavily on this. Again, about 1/4 inch or so. You know, you could even go up to 1/2 inch radius in this without, you know, losing too much. You know, you're not going to lose any depth, but you can really ease this thing in if you want to do a lot larger pieces out of your swedge block there. So yeah, so we just forged this little oak leaf bowl, vessel, ring dish, whatever you want to call it there. I'll probably pop that up on my website to you know, on my regular online site to sell it as part of my artwork and stuff. And as you can see in the video, I used the outside 90s in progressive stages. That is just one of very many uses that you can actually use a swedge block for. Obviously, this video would be like 7 hours long if I tried to show all the various things that you could do with just this swedge block alone. So that's why we just kept it simple to just 2 uses on the same project. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that little bit of a forging there. So that's how you clean them up. They look nice. That's how you do it. If you're interested in picking up a Holland Anvil swedge block, I'll put a link to it down in the description down below. You can go check them out. Greg over at Holland Anvil and Hobie are great guys. So definitely go check them out if you want to get a good American-made swedge block that's made out of ductile iron. You know, it's a really easy block to take and clean up and, you know, put right into service. So anyways, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like and the subscribe and all that jazz. And as always, God bless you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.